And now it's time to preview an upcoming game with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to look at another Kickstarter preview. This time we're going to look at Raid and Trade, a game for 3 to 5 players from Mage Company. This is a game in which you are going to be playing an apocalyptic survivor trying to prove your worth in order to get into the Golden City, which is one of the last surviving places that people can gather and of course be safe. But in order to do so, you're going to have to prove yourself. As I said, you need to find out if you can be the person to complete quests faster than everyone else, or to have the most skill, or perhaps you're going to be the most favored by doing things in a way that is beneficial or at least well viewed by other people. And the first player to do this and have enough actions to complete the game will be the winner. So real quick, why don't we take a look at what you're going to get inside of the box with the reminder that these are prototype, not final components. We'll see how the game plays, and then we'll come back here at the end and I'll sum it all up for you. So here you can see the prototype components for Raid and Trade. Now, as you can tell, these are not final quality. They'll be obviously map tiles and real cards, but these components here are going to represent what will be in the actual game in terms of their function. Now, this is a game about being survivalist. Each player is going to be represented right now by one of these cubes, eventually by minis, but each player is going to be in this kind of post-apocalyptic world, trying to survive better than everybody else in order to gain entry into the Golden City. They won't take just anybody, they only take the best survivors. And the best survivors will be measured by their skill, which will be skill points you can earn throughout the game, by their favor, which will be kind of the how good you are as opposed to being a bad guy, or they're going to be measured by their ability to complete quests, and completing 3 of these quests and spending action points can win you the game. And basically, it's going to be the first player to complete one of these 3 different options who will win. Now, to do this, each player is going to have their own character. For example, here we have Zoe the Electrician. Each character will have different statistics, which will be in the game represented by these wheels. For this presentation, we're going to be taking a look at them represented by dice. So you're going to have 3 different stats. You're going to have your action points. Everybody will get 15 each turn. You're going to have your favor or your blacklist, which is going to be either a positive or a negative, basically, red being bad and yellow being good. And then you're going to have skill points, which will be represented by this blue dial, or in this case, the blue die, which is going to tell you how many skill points you've gotten throughout the game. In addition, each player is going to have stats for their attacking and defending, which will be die rolls. And you'll see here that this character, when they do a die roll for attacking, if they get a 1, it's an automatic success, a 2, 3, and a 4 are hits, and then a 5 or a 6 will let them steal an item from the person that they're attacking, but will not be a hit. On defense, a 1, 2, and a 3 will be a defense, canceling out one of these POWs if they were to be hit by somebody else. A 4 would be stealing an item, but not a defense, and a 5 and a 6 would be a failure. Another character, for example, Mayu here, she is the medic, and you'll see that she has similar statistics, but on a 1 it's an automatic success. A 2, 3, and 4 are hits, but a 4 is going to give her 5 action points back. A 5 and a 6 will be misses, but give her action points, and then on defense, a 1 and a 2 are defense. A 3 and a 4 will give her action points, but a 5 and a 6 will actually lose her some of her items that she's collected throughout the game. And each character in the game will have their own specific set of skills that will work much like this. In addition, each player is going to have their own set of items that they can craft, and these items are usually going to be one-use type items that will give them some type of benefit in the game. You'll see here that it means one use if it's got this fireball on the top, and some of them may not be one use, but they're also going to have a number of skill points you'll get for crafting it, in this case 1, and they'll have different items you need to craft it, a green and a red item, or an orange item I should say, and once you've crafted this, you can use it on one of your turns to get +2 random items whenever you successfully raid somewhere. So if you raid an area, you can discard your flashlight in order to get more items, and each of these will have different items in that stack that you can craft in order to benefit yourself. Now, to play the game, you're going to start off each round by revealing 2 of these possible global event cards. Each round there'll be 2 of these revealed, and whoever is the first player is going to choose one of these event cards. So we have Hidden Lab and Ceasefire. And the first player will get to choose. So either each player can give once 3 items to get 2 skill points. Skill points are going to be a way to win the game. Or no combat can be done this round, meaning that you can't attack other players and you can't attack the main outpost. So you'll decide which one of these is the first player you want to have active, and it's active for all the players. Perhaps we say that combat can't be done this round, the other card will stay inactive. Once this is done, you're going to start rounds of play, and each player on their turn is going to have the option of taking one action and making a move. Movement in this game is going to require that you spend action points, and as I said, you start each round of the game, or each full turn of the game, with 15 action points. Moving is going to have you moving over the lines that divide this board by these tiles. You'll see that there are different tiles here. Moving over from one tile to another is 1 movement point. And moving through anything that is marked as red, you'll see that there are certain areas that are marked as red, which are kind of debris that you have to pass through, will cost you an extra movement point. So, for example, if I wanted to move from this tile, through this tile, to this tile, and past this barricade here to stand next to this building, it would cost me 3 movement points. And I would move down my counter correspondingly to 12. Alternatively, I could have moved from this tile over to this tile and over to here to stand next to that house for only 2. So you have to pay attention to where you're moving in order to get the correct amount of movement or use less movement to get to the appropriate places. Now, the reason you want to stand next to specific buildings is so that you can raid them. So after you've done your movement or before you've done your movement, you can take one action. Those actions are all outlined on the turn overview card. You can do combat, craft, trade, or enter a place, and along with doing your movement. And like I said, you can do the movement first or second. Raiding somewhere will depend on which type of house that you're next to, which type of building. And you can see here we have red, yellow, and green buildings, which are large, medium, and small buildings out on the board. These get placed randomly at the start of the game, as do the starting tiles for the board, so that you can have a variable setup each time that you play this game. In order to raid a building, you must pay action points, and the different types of buildings require different numbers of action points. A large building will take 10, a medium will take 8, and a small will take 6 action points. So we'll see that if I spent 2 to say we go the other way, I can now spend 6 action points to raid this small building, going down to 7 action points. In order to raid a small building, I'm going to take the top card of the small building pile and flip it over. There are 2 different types of these cards. Some will have dice in the top corner, and others will have a skull with a number in the top corner. If it's a die, you're going to go ahead and you're going to roll a die and see if you can successfully raid this building. So we'll pick up a die here, and we're going to roll this die. On an odd number, we successfully raid the building, and we'll get the number of resources in the top here, the higher number, in this case 5. But if we had failed, we would get only 2 resources, and we're going to pull those resources randomly from this bag. I'll do that in just a moment. In addition, if we're successful, we're going to do the ability that's at the bottom of the card if we would like. This is, you may give up 5 resources to gain 2 skill points. So I could get my 5 resources and then give them up to gain 2 skill points if I wanted to, or if I had different 5 resources I wanted to give up, I could give those up and get 5 resources, or get 2 skill points as well. Now when I draw resources, I'm going to draw them randomly from this bag, and I would draw 5 for successfully raiding that house. And you'll see I get different types of resources. So I have some wiring here. I have a spark plug, I have some more wires, a t-shirt, and my 5th item is going to be what appears to be some canned food. Now there are various types of items that you can get. Some of them will be guns, some of them will be remaining car parts. It all depends on what you draw from that bag. So once I've got those 5 resources, I could theoretically give them up in order to get my 2 skill points, throwing those away, and taking 2 skill points, which is 1/20th of what I'll need in order to trigger the end of the game for skill points. Now the other type of building I could have gotten would have had a skull in the top right-hand corner, left-hand corner I should say, this time with a number 1. This I can automatically succeed at raiding. All I have to do is take 1 blacklist point, which basically, if I get down to 8 blacklist points, I'm going to have a scenario where I can no longer raid, and I'll have to find a way to increase my favor or reduce my blacklist points in order to get back into the range where I'm allowed to raid buildings. However, you will automatically succeed and you will get the number of resources in the top right-hand corner, in this case 3. In addition, you get to activate the ability on the bottom, which is get 1 blacklist point in order to gain 2 more resources. So you can decide if you want to take 1 more blacklist in order to get 2 more resources. Anytime that you successfully raid, either by a successful roll or by using the blacklist skull area and taking those blacklist points, you're going to remove the building that you raided from the board. If you were unsuccessful and got the lesser number of resources, you're simply going to leave it there and it can be raided again later. Instead of having moved an attack, let's say that it's a later round and people have moved around the board a little bit more, a player could attack another player or attack the outpost. Attacking requires that you have a gun resource that you've picked up, likely from raiding, or perhaps you took it from somebody else earlier, but you're going to discard one of these guns in order to make an attack on another player. This will cost you 5 action points. So if you had 5 action points left, you could reduce it to 2. For example, 7 down to 2 is 5, in order to make an attack on another player. We'll say that green and red happen to be in the same area, and green wants some of red's stuff. When they're doing this, they discard the gun and they're going to say that they're attacking that player. The other player then has a chance to defend, and they must also discard a gun, and it will cost them 3 of their action points in order to defend. And they're paying these action points off of their own turn, which means they'll have fewer to use for movement and other actions when it comes back to their turn next. So, what you're going to do when you're attacking is you're going to roll a die again. Now, when you roll this die, you're looking for a success, 1 being automatic, in this case for this player, 2, 3, and 4 being hits, and 5 and 6 being steals. So we'll roll, I got an automatic success. It no longer matters at all what the other player rolls, except for they may get some type of bonus for their defense roll if their character sheet says that they do. So they would still make their roll, but they're going to get hit. When you hit another player, you can take one of these little credit chits here, which are worth favor. When you get these, they're going to be worth favor, and this will move you up towards the favor side here. If I were to get 2 favor, I'd go up to 1 favor instead of 1 blacklist. Instead of taking that, or if they don't have any, you can tell them that you're going to steal resources from them. When you do so, they have a choice. They can either let you take 5 random resources, or they can give you 3 resources of your choice. So basically, they get to choose 5 resources, or you get to choose 3 resources, whichever way you want to look at it. But essentially, they can let you choose 3 that you want or give you 5 from their supply. Now on this turn, this actually would not have been possible because we have no combat allowed this turn, but just imagine this doesn't exist and that is a potential option. Anyhow, after you take your turn by moving and taking action, or taking an action or moving, or not moving at all and taking an action, you're going to pass it to the next player in turn order who would take their turn. Again, they have the same options, which continuing on with those could be crafting an item. If you want to craft an item on your turn, you're simply going to look at the items you have available to you, and there's a whole stack of these here with different abilities. I already showed you the flashlight, which gets you more items when you raid, but we have, for example, here the transceiver that says you can trade once with the black market, 3 resources for 1 resource. And that's an area over here that's in the center of this table where you can go and trade. So crafting would require you to spend the resources on here and gain the number of skill points that's on the card, also giving you a one-time ability that you can use throughout the game. Getting those skill points, again, is going to be one of the possible victory conditions. Once you get to 20 skill points, you may spend 20 action points, if you have them, in order to end the game. So, that's crafting, and you can craft many items and use them whenever they're advantageous to you. Another option, as I just mentioned, is trading, and there are several places you can trade. One, you may trade with other players that are in the same area as you. For 1 action point for you and 1 action point for the player you're trading with, you can trade any number of items that you have in your supply, but of course both must agree to the trade. Alternatively, if you're the trader character, you can trade with anybody anywhere on the board for 0 action points for both of you, but of course both players must still agree to the trade. You can trade with the black market trading post in the center, and these will change from play to play, giving you more or different options for which you can trade for, at 4 resources to any 1 resource that you want, which is beneficial for trading. The last type of action you can take on your turn is to go over to the outpost over here. And so you would move over to the outpost, paying whatever you needed to get there. And once you got there, you have the option of entering that outpost, which costs 5 action points. Once you're inside, there are several things you can do. You can work in order to get one of these favored chits, and these are one of the things I told you can steal by attacking someone. The first one you get is worth 4 favor, the second one is worth 3, and the third one is worth 2, which means you'd still need to get yet another one in order to get to the 10 favor you need in order to trigger the end of the game by using 20 action points, and of course, winning. Now that would cost you 8 more action points to work for that chip, so you needed to get there with at least 13 left over, 5 to enter and 8 to work. Alternatively, you can spend 10 action points to test a new medicine, which will give you 2 favor automatically, not one of these chips, and of course those can't be taken away by another player. So you'll note that if you get 4, 3, and 2, that's only 9 of your favor points you need. At some point you'll probably either need to attack somebody and steal a chip, or to work for testing a new medicine to get 2 favor points automatically. But it does cost you 10 action points to do so. Finally, if there's already somebody inside the outpost, you can attack that outpost to remove them from there, and that's going to cost you 7 action points. Attacking is going to kick everybody who's already inside the outpost, so the one player who's inside the outpost, out, and they're going to have to give you 3 resources from their supply. It also frees up the outpost to enter for any other player who would like to go in there. So as you can tell, you're on your turn going to move and take one of these actions in either order. Then you're going to pass it to the next player who's going to do likewise, move and take an action, be it raiding or crafting or trading or going into the outpost, until you're out of action points and you must pass. Once everyone is passed, you're going to go ahead and you're going to get some incident cards. Each player will get dealt 2 of these incident cards. And these are going to be cards that have some type of effect on the play. So we have Kiko, which is give 5 energy less if you raid a large house and 3 energy less or 3 activation points less if you raid a medium house. You can play this on your turn in order to use this, and it'll make raiding cheaper for you on one of your future turns. Or you can have mercenaries here that says when another player fulfills a quest, you can get 4 random goods. Now, what are quests? Well, they're the third possible way to end the game. That's these cards over here, and you always deal out a number of them equal to the number of players. These cards will have specific goods printed on them. You can see we have 4 white goods, 4 orange goods, and 3 green goods. Sorry, 4, 3, and 3, I should say. 4 white, 3 orange, and 3 green. And it says on there that you can complete this quest by turning in those 3 goods. When you do so, you'll have a permanent ability for the rest of the game. When you craft, you're going to get a skill point. So you're going to get extra skill points every time you craft. Then you would flip out another one of these, and there's going to be 4 available again. If you happen to get 3 of those quest cards and have 20 action points, you can then spend those 20 action points in order to win the game. So it's action points, 20 of them, and then either 20 skill points, 10 of the favor points, or you're going to need 3 quest cards in order to end the game. Now you might say you only start each round of the game with 15 action points, and that is correct. But through crafting or through some of these incident cards that you get each round, or potentially through some of the quests that you've completed, you can get extra action points either temporarily or permanently each turn that will replenish when you start a new round. Regardless, once everybody's received one of their 2 cards, chosen which one they're going to keep and discarded the other, you'll then go on to another round, and the new start player will be whoever has the fewest resources. You'll then start with that player, again with 15 or more action points if you happen to have earned them, and continue moving around the board, raiding houses, crafting goods, trading with other players, and attacking them in order to get the resources you need in order to finish the game. And the first player to finish one of the 3 endgame conditions will be the winner. And there you have it. That is Raid and Trade from Mage Company up on Kickstarter now and looking for your support. There's a lot of variety going on in this game, so as you probably saw, the setup of the board is going to vary each time, with the roads changing how they're oriented based on how you place the tiles. In addition, the houses or the building types and locations are going to change in number based on the number of players, and in location because they're placed randomly at the start of the game. And the same is true of the black market in the center, where you can make trades with your own goods for others. The utility of that will change based on which type you select during the game. They may have more goods or different trade ratios, or just different things that are offered in that center based on which one you choose to use. In addition, each player can play differently, so of course each of the different characters in the game has different abilities and different things that they're focused on, but on top of that you can choose to do a lot of crafting in order to get more action points and special things that you can use in combat, or in order to give you different bonuses throughout the game for raiding. You can choose to raid a lot if you would like and take a lot of resources there, or to combat other players and steal the resources from them. Or you can choose to do a lot of, like I said, trading. If you need something specific, you can try and trade. And of course, the trader character himself is very good at this type of thing. You can try and get favor by either stealing favor chips from other players or doing good things and not taking blacklist points from different types of raids if you choose to do that. So there's all types of options you can do, and a lot of variety that are going on in this game. Or that is going on in this game, I should say. If that sounds good to you, check it out on Kickstarter. I'm sure they'd appreciate your support.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.